Alright, now that should be going. Rebuild, sure, why not? Hey, now I can look at it. And seems we are successful. You guys like my intermission? Let's see. Oh, so something I want to give as a general tip. So, do you have your motion study? Let's add in SOLIDWORKS motion. Maybe. Motion study didn't come through, but I've seen similar stuff happen. Alright, let me see what the motion in that video was. And if I can quickly recreate it. Oop, I opened it up in VLC. Oh, there. I mean, there's a playlist that's going on. So it just kind of spins, maybe with a section. So if I wanted to do something like that, here's what I'll do. You know, first you want to set up your scene. You know, maybe rotate about scene floor, get it all centered up. Get your appearances in order. Yeah, that's correct. So something I'll check is that, is the floor of the part coincide with the actual bottom of it? So sometimes it's like floating in air, and that looks kind of weird. I prefer kind of a plain white. Yeah, sorry, I just kind of stole your part here. I'm like playing around with it, but you know, this is what I really enjoy. Lights. I'm going to turn down the ambient light just a hair. And the first directional light. You know, the light's a little too bright. I want more of that wood grain to come out. Like that. I'm pressing F on my keyboard to center. And I'll go to orientation and camera views, replace key. And actually there's no collision needed. It's just, as far as I understand, it's just this main component that's rotating. And if that's the case, just leave it on animation because they compute quicker. Yeah, so we have this. And I would just get a motor. And select other. Because I want this face. Yeah, so typically if here's a quick tip. If you want your rotating part to make one revolution in 5 seconds, you enter 12 here. So 12 RPM, one revolution every 5 seconds. That's usually what I'll start off with, just to make sure the motion is what I expect and if it looks good. So hit OK, and we can hit calculate just to see what it does. And I mean, that looks really good. So, you know, how do we save this out? Maybe we want to hide those sketches, but we can click this eyeball just to kind of hide all of these away. You want to set the frame rate to the right value because by default, SOLIDWORKS sets the frames per second of a motion study animation to 8, which is terrible frame rate. And it's like that for a reason. If you have, sometimes these frames can take a while to compute, and they don't want you to wait a ton of time. There's a structure. So, oh, okay, maybe we can take a look at that too. Yeah, but yeah, sometimes these frames can take a lot of time to compute. So they put the frame rate low, but my recommendation, so 24 frames is the frame of a feature film in a theater. 30 frames per second is probably the minimum frame rate you would see on TV and at your average YouTube videos. I like to save my motion studies at 60 frames per second, or even higher if I plan to edit with it. Do that, and if I do recalculate, yeah, now the motion is buttery smooth. But when we save it, so you hit save animation. So right now, you see the image and aspect ratio is 1278, which is this long thing, by 565, which is short. So it's like a strip. So we want to make sure that we use a custom aspect ratio. When I do my stuff on Instagram, I use square, 1:1. But, you know, if you're doing it for a PowerPoint presentation or on a TV, 16:9 works pretty well. And then you have to enter the frames per second again. Not sure why that is, but it is what it is. And if you have 2019 or above, you want to set it as an MP4. Like that. And we save. And then it can take a little while. Although this isn't bad. It's at least faster than Fusion 360 saves out an STL. Alright, so let's take a look at our animation. Oops, I paused the music. So now you have something like that. So just by tweaking around the settings, yeah. Here, let's do this one. I like this song. Yeah, for sure, man. And as you can see, it's just knowing, you got to know where to find the settings. I think is the biggest thing, and it took me a long time to figure that stuff out. You know, I'll throw it in the Discord, you know, just so people can enjoy your work.